a courageous one. If you are someone who considers themselves an empath or a highly sensitive person or a high anxious achiever, or a codependent who's recovering from being codependent, if you're any of those, I'm pretty sure that it is hard for you to set boundaries. And you're going to be uncomfortable, but it's okay. Right away, it feels anxious. You don't know how that other person is going to respond. You feel like maybe you're disappointing someone, or maybe you're making things so much harder for someone else. But what about for you? I know that we have a tendency to put ourselves second to everyone else, but that has to change because we need to preserve our sensitive natures, our life force energy, and avoid things like burnout. Really important for you to enforce boundaries. And one of those things has to do with your time, your schedule, so that you're not overcommitting and then feeling resentful. Just was working on a boundary that they needed to set, and it made them a little uncomfortable, but they achieved it and they did it, and that was a win. So here's an example. Once you have an appointment with someone, that appointment is supposed to be scheduled up to, let's say, 1 hour. They're running late. Oh no, I'm running late and I don't know if I can make it at the scheduled time that we said. Maybe they're asking like, hey, can we meet a little bit later? And have a little time in between text messages to kind of reassess the situation. Let me look at my schedule first. You look at your schedule. Yes, you have time, but it is stepping into like your other stuff that you have planned. And honestly, don't do it because you will be building resentment that way. So what you're going to do is try to negotiate if you're more comfortable with that. This is a great example to try to set this tiny boundary. So let me negotiate the time. I can't do a whole hour over, but how about 20 minutes over? If that's okay, I could give you 20 minutes and here's what we could do in that time. Or if not, we'll just go ahead and reschedule for another time. The most important thing is that my client was able to set that boundary very consciously about her time. If she continues that practice, she's going to get so good at it and it's not going to be a thing. If it ends up putting out someone else, it's just the way things are. Because you yourself have faced that too, right? We all have to work around limitations and confinements. But the people pleaser, the empath, the highly sensitive person, the anxious high achiever, the recovering codependent, they say yes and yes and yes, and it's very difficult for them to know when to say no. So these boundaries are protecting the life force energy. The boundaries are protecting your energy. They're protecting yourself, your time, your schedule, your sensitive nature. And you are worth protecting. So don't be afraid to start to set those tiny micro boundaries that after a lot of practice, you're going to get better and better at. It's going to build a muscle. And we're building a muscle to learn how to trust ourselves, right? To learn how to take care of ourselves, to not self-abandon or self-betray. I hope that this was helpful, that you are one who is able to set these boundaries and sit in that uncomfortableness and just get used to that. And before you know it, you're going to own your own time. You're going to own your own energy. You're going to own your own space, and you are going to feel so good for it. It's what makes you courageous.